Hey guys, welcome back. So I forgot and did not get my Maker's Box video done in time for my regular Friday video. So that means y'all get extra content this week. And we are going to unbox Sonnet's Maker's Box. Let's see, I kind of already looked through it. Let's see what's in here. So we have Autumn Botanical from Roycycled. We have Rustique Roycycled. Connie has painted us the witching hour on rice paper. And this is Rustic Crow. For our paint colors this month, we have got Prairie Gray and Firestarter. And the Fusion, we have Chateau. Y'all know that's my favorite. And Carriage House, another favorite of mine. Milk Paint is Sweet Potato. Sweet Potato and the Sweet Pickins Milk Paint. So, the little gift is a little leaf. I am about done with fall, but I'm going to do a couple little projects with this today. So y'all get extra content. And if you are interested in getting in on the fun of Sonnet's Maker's Box, I'll have a link in the comments where you can sign up. So let's go ahead and get started. For my first project today, I definitely want to use this Rustique. Royce is the best at the grunginess, and I have had this little planter pot in my stash for a long time. It's not my style at all, so I'm going to go ahead and upcycle it. To begin with, I'm going to put a coat of white Salvation solution on this. This is a primer, and I found that if I'm going to paint something white, it might as well go ahead and put a coat down of this first. It uses less of my paint, and it also makes the paint stick better to shiny surfaces like this. So I did one coat of Salvation solution. Then I'm going to do one coat of DIY White Swan, because anytime I decoupage, I like to put a light base underneath, even though that decoupage paper would be great for a wood base or anything darker. I did not want those polka dots or anything showing through. While that's drying, I went ahead and painted the little wooden leaf cutout with the Prairie Gray on front and back, and then I sealed it up with some dark wax. I also recently thrifted a metal wall hanging thing, and it had a bunch of leaves on it. So I cut a couple of them off. They have really cool patina on them. They're like brass copper looking. So what I'm going to do here is I'm trying to figure out a way to put all these leaves together but make them look good. So I took some twine and I just put it through the hole in the wooden leaf, and now I am wrapping it around the stems of the metal leaves to put them all together. And then I'm just going to set this aside for a few minutes until we finish the rest of the project. To decoupage this on, I want to use that corner piece because it has that darker color. So I'm just going to roll my little planter around to see where I need to cut the paper. It's okay to have extra, but you want to be sure and have enough. So I'm just going to cut out what I need to decoupage on here, and I'm going to use liquid patina to decoupage this paper. I'm not too super worried about wrinkles on this because I just feel like the wrinkles add to the look of the whole grungy thing that I'm going for here. But I'm going to be as careful as I can. I like to mist my decoupage paper, and then I'll do a starter strip of the liquid patina and then flatten this out on here and go over the top. Excuse me, I sneezed. With another layer of liquid patina. Of course, I had a little tear, but that's no problem. We're going to fix all that in just a little bit. So I'm just going to continue to go all the way around, putting a layer of liquid patina, flattening out my paper onto it, and then putting another layer on top until I get it all decoupaged, and then we're going to put it aside to dry. The decoupage paper actually stretches out when you wet it, so I had a little bit of an overlap here, and I didn't want that, but I didn't want just a straight edge, so I just kind of ripped a little and did it, and then I tore off a little bit more and put over that little white spot. Once my paper is completely dry, and you want to make sure that you are extra dry for this, I did use my heat gun to hurry it along because I am in a time crunch as always. But I got all the excess off the top and the bottom, and now I am going over the top rim just where that white paint is showing. I didn't like that, so I'm using that prairie gray, doing 2 coats over that top rim just to hide that white. And finally, to finish this off, you know we're going to use some dark wax, so I sealed in the paint and all the decoupage paper. I did a good coat of dark wax over the entire thing, then wiped it back, and then we're going to put those leaves on there. To attach the leaves, I left a lot of twine, and I had to get the leaves where they were just not hanging below it, so when it was sitting, they weren't, you know, they were even with it, if that makes sense. You'll see what I'm saying here in just a second. And then I just wrapped the twine around a bunch of times and let it dry for a little while. Then I came back and hot glued the leaves down and the last of the twine. This turned out so much better than I was expecting it to. I love all of the Roycycle papers, but I especially love all the grungy ones. Didn't think I would be a grungy type, but Royce is so good at these decoupage papers, and I love how this one turned out, and I hope y'all do too. Next project is a super simple one. I had this black frame in my stash that I had thrifted. I think it's $1.99. I can't see it real good there, but I cleaned it up and it's in perfect condition. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this frame. So I just cleaned it up, took the tag off, and then I'm going to take the witching hour. I'm going to use my glass, cut it out to fit, simply put it in the frame, and I also keep a lint roller handy so I can clean up the back of these frames, and that's that. I love to sell frames. They sell really well for me, and they sell well because I've always put some beautiful artwork in them, and Connie's papers are always perfect for doing that, and I love these witches. my last project today, this is a little wooden shelf sitter that I had actually made over several years ago, and I'm just tired of it. And it's in too bad a shape to sell, so I'm going to upcycle it. To begin with, I'm going to take some sandpaper and just make sure that all the surface is good and smooth. Then I am going to, again, use the Salvation solution to go over this red. Because I want to put a layer of white so we can decoupage on it. So I'm going to do one layer of Salvation solution, let it dry, and then I'm going to come in and do one coat of White Swan. After the White Swan is dry, we have got to use this sweet little spooky crow. So I just lined up where he would fit the best. And then I'm going to use liquid patina. Rice paper is so easy to decoupage with that I'm not going to just do a strip. I'm just going to go ahead and do the whole thing, lay it down, flatten it out with my hand really well, taking my finger and pushing down in those grooves of the wood so that the paper sticks down everywhere, and then I will do another layer of liquid patina on top. Then I'm going to set it aside and let it dry really well, and once it is dried, I'll come back to sand off the top and the bottom, the excess on the top and the bottom there. Sanding in a downward motion, and you do have to rub quite a bit harder on this rice paper because it is so much thicker. It has a bunch of fibers in it, but just keep sanding in a downward motion, and then you will be able to pull it off. And then I take my sandpaper, just smooth up the edge really well. And to finish this off, I am going to use that fire starter. I'm going to go all the way around the outside, cover all the red, and then I'm going to also cover up those white parts on the sides where the paper wasn't quite long enough. And I'm just going to kind of do a dabbing motion to finish that off. But first I am going to cut where the wood splits there. So it really does look like wood slats. So I'm going to use an X-Acto knife to cut that out. That will also reveal a little bit of white paint that we will fix here in just a minute. Ooh, this fire starter is a very bright orange. It reminds me of high school because these were my high school colors, the orange and black of the Meek High School Tigers. So here's where I will cover up that little bit of white. It just kind of frames it out. I'm not worried about if it gets on the decoupage paper either. It just will all blend in together once we do the final step on this project. So I'm going to use fire starter all the way around, cover all that red and get those white spots. And then y'all know to finish this off, this is a theme for this video with all the spooky grungy DIYs. I'm going to use some of the DIY dark wax to go over to seal this paint. I'm also going to do it where I cut the paper in the crevices of the wood there, and it's just going to grunge this up just the perfect amount to make it a spooky Halloween DIY. that y'all have enjoyed the 3 spooky DIYs that I was able to get done using Sonnet's Maker's Box. If you want to join in on the fun and get a new subscription box every month full of DIY supplies, the link is down below in the description and the comments. Thank y'all so much for watching. I'll see you next week.